we need to talk. So a while back, you all saw some videos that I made about the dumb phone that I was switching to. And I was very hopeful that it was going to solve a lot of my stress problems, a lot of my attention problems, and it held so much potential. But there's a few reasons why I've switched back to my iPhone. I wanted to put these out there for anyone who's wanting to go through that transition, who's wanting to switch to a dumb phone or a flip phone or a non-smartphone, to kind of let you know what to expect so that maybe you'll have better luck with it than I did. So first of all, the phone was absolutely amazing. I personally loved having the flip phone again, having a flip phone. The issue came about when friends and family were no longer texting me because they were texting my iPhone number. Now, I didn't keep the same number. I actually went and got a separate plan. It's very cheap to have a plan for a dumb phone, and the plan worked great. Service was good, no complaints whatsoever. But I noticed that no one was getting in touch with me. No one was contacting me. And I did want some of the contact to kind of drop off so that I would have more free time. But it was like no one, not even family members, were texting me on this number. I had to constantly remind people, and I thought there's going to be a transition stage where for about a week I'm going to have to text, have my iPhone setting over here, my flip phone setting here, and I'm going to have to text whenever I get a message on my iPhone and say, can you please start texting me on my new phone, my new number. And once I explained to everybody what was going on, I thought that would be that. There would be no issues. People would start texting me on that number. Well, that didn't happen. I did let them know, but what happened was they would send a video or they would send a file that's really big or something that I couldn't get on my flip phone, and then they would ask a question about it or something, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to check this out later. And then it was like the conversation was then shut down. There was no conversation to be had. It was weird because it's almost like every single thing in our society now is set up to work with a smartphone. And unless you have a smartphone, you really can't be a part of a lot of things in society. And yeah, a lot of it I could really do without, but it almost felt isolating, especially going from using a phone so much for work and so much when I do get home. The whole idea was I wanted a little bit less technology in my life and a little bit more analog, a little bit more going back to the basics and having more free time and less stress. So I decided that's fine, whatever. People can either just get in contact with me or not. There were a few instances where it was really important and people were trying to get a hold of me, and then they just were, again, messaging my old phone. And this might not happen if you keep your same phone number, but it definitely happened to me because I decided to do two different numbers. Just in case I ever did switch back, I heard it's kind of a pain to switch from an iPhone to something and then back to an iPhone, something that, like with your Apple ID, or I don't know. So after I decided to put those issues aside, I ran into some more problems. I mainly pay for everything with the credit card. I do use mobile payments quite a bit, and that's just not something that you can really do on a flip phone. I tried it so many times in so many different ways by getting the QR codes and different things for certain apps and loading money onto my gift card balances in advance and things like that. Oh, it was such a pain. It was such a pain. It is doable. I go to Dunkin' Donuts a lot. I would load money onto my Dunkin' Donuts card before I would leave and then scan the little QR code that I had saved as a picture to my flip phone. And when I did that a couple times, the people at Dunkin' Donuts looked at me like I was crazy. But when it worked, they were like, okay, that's cool. But it was also a kind of a weird experience because it does single you out and it does get some looks occasionally. I'm a very private, like introverted person most of the time, so not my favorite aspect of switching to a flip phone. Which is weird because when I was in middle school, high school, flip phones were just normal. You didn't look twice if someone had a flip phone. Now, you really stand out if you have a flip phone. Another thing that really made it almost impossible for me to switch was I use the GPS a lot on my phone. I use Apple CarPlay a lot, and I use audiobooks a lot. Now, there are workarounds for many of these things, but it just got to the point where I was spending more time trying to do workarounds than actually enjoying the free time that the phone was supposed to provide me. I thought to myself, why am I going through all of this? If nobody is going to ever contact me on this phone, nobody's going to go along with this switch, and I'm going to not be able to use like 80% of the features that I did like about having a smartphone. It's such a trade-off, and I don't know that switching to a dumb phone is the answer. If you can do it and you can make it work, that's awesome. In fact, I really enjoyed the time that I did have with it. It just got to a point where I was spending more time stressing over what I didn't have available to me and the things that I was missing out on when I would go places and when I would need directions and when I would want to listen to audiobooks. It's hard once you have these things in your life to go back to not having them. When you don't have them, because we didn't have this stuff when I was growing up, you don't miss it because you don't know what you're missing. But then when you have these things and you go to a dumb phone or a flip phone, a non-smartphone, and you know what you're not having access to at that point, it's difficult. Those were some of the struggles that I had, and that is why I'm back to using my iPhone. And I know a lot of people were really rooting for me to fail at that. They were like, "Oh, this is never going to last. Good luck. You're not going to make it." I'm not going to force myself to do anything that is causing myself more stress, and that's what was happening with the flip phone. Even though I loved it, I loved the idea of it, it was causing me a lot of stress because I didn't have access to the things that I needed for work and the things that I needed for when I got home in the evening. I couldn't check my emails. I have to check my emails because of work and because I do have multiple jobs usually at any given time. Do I want to lose quite a bit of money by not being able to check my emails and know when I have jobs and things? Or do I want to switch back to the stress screen, which is my iPhone? So I don't know what the answer is. I don't think that the stress coming from our smartphones is sustainable. Something's going to have to give at some point, but I also don't know that doing away with your smartphone in a world that is set up for people with smartphones is the easiest thing. I know it's not the easiest thing. So let me know what your experiences have been in the comments, and if you ever plan on trying a dumb phone, I really do wish you the very best of luck when you try it. It didn't work out for me, but hopefully you have better luck with it. Give this video a thumbs up if it helped you out in any way, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.